Today, the moon goes from Aquarius into Pisces. And the theme that I want to talk about today is why what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I'm going to explain why we're talking about that today and why we are also thinking about themes of ideals. Aquarius is a sign that helps us focus on higher ideas and our ideals, our vision, our sense of what's possible. Yesterday, I was sharing about how Aquarius brings that fresh perspective, a little bit of an outside the box view of things. So check out yesterday's video if you missed that to get a little more about what this Aquarius moon brings us. And of course, on Sunday, I shared about the upcoming Aries full moon and why we need to be full of ourselves. It's a little bit of who do you think you are, right? Like a little bit of a take on that phrase that can be seen or felt as self-criticism, but we can also step into it and actually ask ourselves, who do you think you are, right? Like take on that boldness and that courage to be who we really are. So so be sure to check out Sunday's video. That was September 24th, for a little bit of a peek at what we have coming up with this week's Aries full moon. So I am Marina Ormes here with your Astro Vibe for Tuesday, September 26th, and we are talking today about why what doesn't kill you makes you stronger and why the energy of the moon completing its journey through Aquarius is bringing us some connection to our ideals, our vision, our higher consciousness, higher ways of thinking about things, that outside perspective. So Aquarius is detached. It's more objective. It allows us to take a step back and see that bigger picture. So thank you for being here. And with today's moon in Aquarius, we do get reminded that it's important to think about our ideals. And they're called ideals for a reason. They're not perhaps our current reality, or maybe not what we're experiencing right now, but we can imagine, right? We can describe, we can project into the future the possibilities that we want to steer our lives toward. So whatever it is that you imagine for yourself, for your own life, for your community, for your family, for the people you love, but also for the world around you, right? The people you maybe don't even know, like people who are strangers, but you want to live in a world where where there are systems and structures set up so that everyone has a chance to fulfill their greatest potential for their life. And that's one of my ideals. Maybe it's something you share with me. At any rate, it's a good time to think about what your ideals are. So as Aquarius, or I'm sorry, as the moon completes its time in Aquarius, right? The moon spends 2 to 2.5 days in a sign. And so as it passes through that sign, we get a mood, a vibe for each day based on where that moon is hanging out, where it's passing through. And so the energy of the Aquarius moon brings us that energy of detachment, objectivity, thinking outside the box, connecting with ideas, higher ideas. So it's this opportunity to think about what is that bigger picture of a vision, and what your ideals are. So that's connected to values, right? What you value, but how you envision those values emerging in the future and what that actually looks like. So in terms of an ideal world, an ideal life for yourself. And it's important to have ideals because they can help us stay moving forward, right? Stay creative, stay open to, the fact that we are on a journey of moving toward those ideals. And so wherever we find ourselves in the moment is just where we are on that journey. We're on our way, right? This is what it looks like right now. So I love that view of things, and it helps put in perspective the future, the present, and the past, right? So the past is simply what's already happened. We can't control that. The future is what hasn't come yet. Can't control that either. But what we can control is in the present moment. And so we always have choices. And we can remember, see that bigger picture perspective that the Aquarius moon reminds us to connect with. So we can remember what's important to us. We can remember what direction we want to go with, in what we want to align with, how we might be off track of being in alignment. So if you suddenly realize, oh, I am having a lot of stress in my life, or I'm worried about this, and I find that I'm just spending a lot of time in worry, or whatever you might be noticing. Maybe you're having a thought or a feeling that is not in alignment with that higher possibility. So it's just about remembering that higher possibility is there, and asking yourself, how do I want to shift right now in the present moment? Do I want to take a deep breath and let go of something I'm worrying about? Do I want to write it down on a list, or write out what I need to do, or maybe even just do it and get it done so I don't have to keep worrying about it? And if there's nothing you can do about it, maybe you don't need to keep worrying about it. What do you need to do so that you can let go of it, so that you can enjoy the moment? And it's really that enjoyment of the moment that allows you to be connected to creating those ideals in the future. So it's always good to remember what your ideals are, so you know what it looks like to align with those ideals. Okay, and that brings us to part 2 for today, and the energy of September 26th, with the moon shifting into Pisces. So later in the afternoon, my time might be evening. For East Coast time zones, it could be, even into late night, early morning, depending on if you're in Europe, depending on how different the time zones are. But at any rate, that shift of the moon into Pisces brings us into that energy, that vibe of surrender, of connecting or allowing, going with the flow, connecting with the bigger picture. So whatever that bigger picture is, it can be an imagination, right? Like kind of getting outside of the confines or the restrictions, the limitations of ordinary reality. At the same time, that moon, as it enters Pisces, it passes by Saturn. So that's why we are talking today about what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, because of that energy of the planet Saturn and the moon coming together, forming a conjunction, or we could also say it's passing by Saturn in the zodiac. So what that looks like in terms of the energies and how that shows up is that we've got this reminder of the limitations of the physical world. And so when we are connecting with our ideals and surrendering to a bigger picture, right? Remembering what we value, what's important in our hearts. What is that bigger picture? What does love look like? What does love invite you to do in this moment? And even that's like such a great question, right? What does love want you to do in this moment? What does your heart want? If you slow down, put all the shoulds and woulds and coulds out of your mind for a moment, and just pay attention to your heart and notice how it feels, and ask what it wants. And again, focusing on the present moment where you have control over things. And when I say control, I just mean you have the ability to make a choice. So what doesn't kill you in the physical, ordinary, everyday world, right? So that means anything we might be worried about, right? And anything we are learning through. So anything that shows up as a worry, a fear, a challenge in your life is an invitation to shift, to make a different choice, to respond differently. And the planet Saturn is the planet of responsibility. And responsibility is something that we have, again, in the present moment. So it's the way that you respond in the present. And again, going back to what I was saying before, that can always be something as simple as letting go of a worry, right? Something you can't do anything about, or just doing whatever you need to do so you can put it out of your mind. It's making a choice in that present moment that is a way of responding. So the way that you respond is a choice in the present moment. And you can ask yourself how you're responding to your own thoughts and feelings, even not, you could certainly ask how you're responding to challenges or circumstances that are showing up in your life, but you can also ask how you're responding to your own, state. So your own current present moment thoughts and feelings. So, and that is the invitation of Saturn. So Saturn is saying, here's a limitation, here's a challenge, here's something that might cause you to feel like you have to do something or respond or worry, right? It might be bringing stress into your life. So it's really about how you respond to that stress. And so when you respond consciously, you can be more creative. You can bring in ways of responding to something that is totally new, right? That's what creativity is. It's bringing in something new. So if you have an old worry, an old habit, an old pattern, something that's showing up in your life, how can you respond differently in this present moment, right? Because it doesn't matter what you did last week or 5 years ago. That's all in the past. It's done. You can't do anything about that, but you can do something about it right now in this present moment. And that could be how you are responding and what choice you're making about how you respond to your own state of being, to the situations, circumstances, and challenges that may show up in your life. So the energy of today is inviting you to think about your higher ideals, what's important to you and why, and what you can do about it in the present moment. Thanks so much for being here. I am Marina Ormes, and you can learn more about me at astrologyheals.com. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for joining my YouTube channel. And with the subscribe, you get daily videos. So I'm here every day with astrology for unshakable self-care. You want to know what the day brings, what the energies are, and how to make the most of them. And that's what I share with you. So check back here every day for new videos and what's going on in the moment. We are now into the fall season, right? We just passed the fall equinox. So a little bit of a shift in the vibe, and we're heading into the Aries full moon, which I did talk about in Sunday's video, the 24th of September. And we're in the Virgo moon cycle. So we're working on self-improvement and a path of service. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time. Bye for now.